Nomvula is now a young woman from KZN, a township called Umlazi. Grew up in a very tough neighborhood. Honestly, the dysfunction in the community I grew up in and sometimes in my own family was what sort of drove me into finding my little corner where I create my own happiness. I met this young lady from the USA at the gym. She was ripped. She looked like a Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
When I'm on my period, I'm gonna post my bloated stomach.
Yes.
I don't ever want to do this. It's either we cut ties with this brand or he goes back and talks to them. I really want to make fitness a movement outside of Cape Town, Johannesburg, to have events, especially Devon, because that's where I come from,
Hi guys, welcome to Navigating the 20s. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Nomvula Khuzwayo. I mean, it's 2024, we're all trying to get into our fitness goals. So what a better way to start with rather than speaking to one of South Africa's fitness influencer who doesn't just advocate for fitness but also advocates for an integrated approach to wellness. So Nomvula, welcome to Navigating the 20s.
Thank you. It's so lovely to be here.
It's good to have you on the podcast. I must say, actually, if I'm gonna start from the beginning, when we were back at UCT, I used to watch you train at Zone Fitness the whole time, and I used to wonder because, obviously, we all at UCT, everyone's so fixated on getting the studies right, or either you're partying, but you always were so focused on getting yourself fit and actually having a good routine going. If I can just kind of get a background on you, who is Nomvula and where does the love for fitness come from?
All right, that's a good question. Nomvula is now a young woman from KZN, a township called Umlazi. Grew up in a very tough neighborhood, and honestly, the dysfunction in the community I grew up in and sometimes in my own family was what sort of drove me into finding my little corner where I create my own happiness. So at the time when I was young, dancing, Sierra was my favorite. I used to I still love dancing, but that was my thing. Yeah. So fitness started there, and I used to sometimes be not in my room, me and my sister's room doing crunches by myself, and I would hide it from my mom. Yeah. But that is what actually kept me sort of sane. So when I got to university, I was faced with a lot of challenges, such as navigating the space. As someone that comes from the township, I had to learn how to use a computer for the first time in my first year. My sister, who's now late, was in a coma at that time. Sure. So I was trying to deal with a lot, and being in Cape Town from KZN by myself, and trying to figure myself and where I fit in the world. So what I used to do is after classes, I would just go for a little jog. Yeah. And at that time, as much as I was studying psychology, I had no clue about the benefits of working out and the endorphins. I just know that after I finished running, I felt like I could face the world. So that's how it started for me. Yeah. It started as something that helped me to cope with everything in my life. Sure. But I also just generally enjoyed it. It was never initially about body goals.
Yeah, that's amazing, actually. I mean, when you share some parts of it, I also like running or being in the gym as an escape. And when you come out of it, and I think it's a form of therapy, and as well, for other people who practice mindfulness, when you're in that space, it's sort of like a mindfulness practice, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And tell me, so you went to UCT, but you studied psychology. Why pursuing psychology as opposed to, at that time, going to become a personal trainer? Had it not clicked at that point, was working out just purely a hobby?
Yeah. So it's actually, my journey has been a very, zigzag one, not a straightforward one. Yeah. So when I went into UCT, first of all, when I was in high school, my teachers encouraged me to apply for medicine. Yeah. Because I had such a passion for the human body. Wow. That was always my thing. I've just always been fascinated by the human body. But somehow I was I don't see myself being a doctor. Not that I don't love the profession, but I just didn't see myself in that profession. Sure. And I was I'm curious to study psychology. And it wasn't really when it started,
Yeah.
it wasn't because I was passionate about psychology.
Yeah.
But I was like, there's so much dysfunction in my family. I want to understand what this is and my community, right?
Sure.
So I got into it. I feel like I didn't have a clear path, or I knew exactly what I wanted to do. When I got into it,
Yeah.
funny enough, something that I thought I was just studying, to get a degree, get a good job, whatever, ended up answering so many questions about my childhood.
Wow.
I ended up answering so many questions about myself that I didn't
Sure.
even know I had. And so I feel like it's one of those things where at the time it might have looked like it was a mistake,
Yeah.
but right now, looking at how there's such a big gap in the fitness industry, in the wellness industry, to talk about mental health and how that is linked with your body, I feel like that was not a mistake. That degree was not a mistake. Same thing with fitness. I feel like that I found when I was trying to heal myself.
Yeah.
And so together, these things have found their way to each other.
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful that you're tying it in, and the fact that you're saying it's only in retrospect now that you're seeing how starting off with psychology and then having that fitness passion is all tied in to make you the person that you are today. And if I take you back to that, with the varsity days and all of that, whilst you were going, so you had known that definitely medicine's not for you, but did it ever come across that I am going to pursue a career in psychology? Or when does the transition happen from out of psychology into full fitness? When do you realize that this is my calling, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
So I started off just sharing my love for dance, because that's just always the thing that's been consistent. From the first year of varsity at Res, they knew that Nomvula, she loves to dance, and also the other name they knew me by is Mandy as well. So they knew that I just love to dance. So at first, I thought that's the path I was going to take, dancing. But I felt like there was something else, especially when I was running. And then I met this young lady from the USA at the gym. The first time I went to the gym, she was ripped. She looked like a Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
And I was so inspired by her because she was in a gym full of men, especially the area with the weights.
Yeah.
And I was like, how does she do that? I'm over here on the treadmill. And it just ignited some kind of a fire in me. And I've just always felt like what fitness did for me, especially when I was running or dancing, I wanted to share that feeling with other people.
Sure.
And when I started posting on Facebook, but especially on Instagram, I was posting like in an honest way, not like how social media is now where people want to look perfect.
Exactly.
I was just posting. I think one of the things I posted was that I'm doing a 30-day ab challenge.
Yeah.
It was the first time I was aiming for abs, right? So I started seeing, especially when I was posting my befores and after that, there was a gap. People were asking me, how do you do that? How do you do? I didn't know that there's other people that might need that kind of help.
Yes.
So that's when I started feeling like, okay, let me actually try and help people. And then that's always been my thing. I want to help people, and I want to help especially women, look after their bodies, look after themselves. And I feel like when I started doing that and feeling like I was contributing to other people's lives, that was my calling.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if I take you back, do you think your calling, because earlier you did touch on the fact that you came from Umlazi, so do you think, where does the craving to always help people and to show up for people, because other people do the fitness industry, it's like all about them, they want to be in the limelight, they want to be known, but you, from what I'm hearing, your core route to wanting to go into fitness is to actually help people. And I also see it, I mean, in your posting, you genuinely you actually give a lot of free advice. I'm up there going like, most personal trainers don't want to tell people about these things, so where does that come from, that genuineness to want to help people?
Yeah, so let's get this part out of the way. The aesthetics I also care about.
Yes,
of course.
You are the product.
But I think, I don't know if it's Oprah or someone else that said, even if you don't know what your passion or your dream is in life, think about what it is that you'd want to do that will help your younger self. If your younger self said that there's something that they needed help with, or this, you could be an answer to that, what would it be?
Yeah.
So I wanted to sort of be that person who's older or who's had more experience in whatever I've had experience in, to say, we all start somewhere. I never want to make people feel like things are impossible or that everyone's arrived. So what's the point of me even trying anything?
Yeah.
I've seen the results of exercise on my mental health. And I'm thinking also not just only on the older women that watch things on my page, but the younger girls who may have grown up in unfavorable conditions like I did, who may use exercise to cope with life.
Yeah.
And I did see that growing up, that, sports was really helpful, especially in the townships and I know in the rurals as well. So for me, it comes from knowing that I've been there.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And to know that there's someone who might just be helping me step by step instead of saying, pay me. I might just help you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, it's good. We must respect other people's knowledge and time and all of that. It's okay. But I'm just like, we also need to use these platforms and these spaces to say, I actually want to lend a helping hand, maybe even to the person that doesn't even have money to pay for a personal trainer or the resources.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I see that genuineness because you also try and encourage people to run, to say like, okay, fine, if you don't have access to gym membership, running is like a free sport that you can do and you can still reap the benefit.
Yeah.
So I think I definitely appreciate you putting that knowledge. But going back to the woman that inspired you, that you saw in the weights section, I want to kind of hear your journey because when I started lifting weights, the first thing everyone would be like, oh, when they see the muscles, you're getting manly now, you're looking, how did you overcome that perception and then own the fact that, being muscular is sexy for women? Because I think otherwise we all start off, I also started off being the treadmill girl and being very, very skinny. And then the minute I started weightlifting and I could feel the power of what it's like to move up different weights and how empowering that feels. I want to know your journey and what advice would you have for somebody who's trapped where you used to be, if you used to just be a treadmill person looking at the people in the weight section?
Right. Wow. That's a good question again. So I grew up, I think, naturally, I just liked an athletic physique because dance has always been something I loved. And most dancers had an athletic physique, right? And being a Zulu girl from KZN, where, the sort of like the model shape of a woman should be like, voluptuous and, anything else, skinny and even worse, athletic. It's not appealing, right? But I grew up being teased for being skinny, and I played soccer growing up, right? So I was not really an attractive person to, and in marriage, they always care about, you're going to find a husband with that skin and bones. I'd like to think that I've always had a mind of my own. And I think with everything, it's so important to start there because I can tell you, oh, no, you're not going to look like a man, but you're constantly in the back of your mind, you think that's what's going to happen. You firstly need to stop caring too much about what other people say. You need to, what's also important, the reason why I like to share so much, to debunk the myths and things that people hear, is so that people can understand that some of these things are untrue. Some of these things our mothers will say to, prevent us from doing certain things.
Absolutely.
Don't sit a certain way. You're a girl. Don't, you need to first decide for yourself what you want with your life. And then also, education for me is very important. Educate yourself on things. Your fear of becoming or looking like a man, first of all, as a woman, that's not going to happen unless you're taking hormones, testosterone, to look like a man. That's not going to happen. What you are going to look like is toned with some muscle, healthy muscle, and an athletic build. There's nothing wrong with that. So for a woman to really look like a man, you have to take hormones. Otherwise, you just have an athletic build. And for those people, I'm not just going to say women, those people that are still on the treadmill wanting to, I'd say the other thing that I learned over the years actually is that people at the gym are always willing to help more than you think. I know when people walk into the gym, it's so scary, it's terrifying. What am I walking into? If I didn't walk up to her, firstly compliment her, because this is a thing I believe more women should do with each other, and give her props and say, how? Well, how do you, first of all, get the confidence to come into the space by yourself? And ask people. People are always willing to help more than anything.
And take me through your own process. Like, have you always been in love with your body and felt confident and sexy, or like, and even I think there's also a process with when you're starting with fitness to be able to build up the confidence to like take off your shirt and train in a bra. I think as women, like we feel like we're under such scrutiny.
Yeah.
What has that process been like for you? Have you always like naturally been so confident?
No.
With your body?
I'm still not 100% confident. I think sometimes people, especially when they look on at my social media, it was funny when I had this conversation with one of my friends like a year back, and I don't know what it was that I was concerned with, and I was just feeling insecure about something. My friend is like, "You feel insecure," and I'm human.
Yeah,
you know, I'm human. I'll never. Perfection doesn't exist, and I think you know, having a little bit of that kind of a feeling keeps you kind of grounded. I never want to get to like, I am me. I feel good about myself. No one can tell me anything about myself. But I think it's okay once in a while to be like, okay, maybe I want to run a little bit more, or this. That keeps you grounded, right? However, growing up, like I said, in a place like KZN, in the Zulu, you know, community where being skinny was you look sick, you look hungry. It was associated with that, and I grew up poor, so I felt unhealthy, right? And so I did not feel very confident growing up, right? When I got to UCT, Cape Town, it didn't matter too much because the cultures here are so mixed, races as well, where being skinny is not the topic, you know, that, you know, like, you know, eat something or stuff like that. People don't care too much here, right? But still, I didn't feel 100% confident. But let me say this. There has never been a moment where I hated my body. Never. No one has ever made me hate my body. As much as I grew up insecure because I felt like I didn't appeal to a certain group of people, I never hated my body.
I think it's hard because I've had conversations with women, and I think especially if you just follow fitness influencers, makes you feel like your body's constantly imperfect with all the added filters that people are putting on and like modifying their bodies. I think somebody praised Brioni, Miss Universe South Africa, because she didn't put makeup over her stretch marks when she went to go compete at Miss Universe. So the picture actually captured it, and people are saying, we're so happy you went out there with your tiger stripes. Because actually at Miss World, most of them put makeup so that it hides it. So if you constantly seeing people with no stretch marks and they all have a small waist, big booty or BBL or whatever the case might be, you feel like your body's not, there's something wrong with your body.
Definitely. And I totally understand where, you know, young women and every kind of woman would come from with that, because what we see is a lot of time is, you know, filtered pictures and videos. Sometimes people suck in their stomach for dear life. I see it at the gym when people are creating content. So what I do is post things that people don't expect from social media. When I'm on my period, I'm going to post my bloated stomach. Because who cares? I'm going to, you know, I've posted this video before. It was during lockdown where I said women before they post a picture, which is when the stomach is big and then you suck your stomach in for dear life. And I think the other thing that changed things drastically for me was when I went through, you know, gut problems in 2020, where one of the things my gastro specialist that I consulted, he said that is also not good, or that could make bloating, you know, a thing or worse. The best way I can is that I've always wanted to be an answer for the little girl me. So if I'm lying, I'm lying to her. She's going. If she had access to the internet or social media at that time, she would look at me and be like, "Oh, I can never achieve that." But if I can post that, the other thing that is very important, when I take pictures. I always say, even the photographers, professional photographers that I shoot with sometimes, they say, you don't know how to flex. You don't know, because I've never practiced to
flex, to position yourself.
To position myself. I know how to take a picture in front of a mirror, definitely. And I know how to stand on the side and that.
Sure.
But I've never made it my focus to sort of create this fake image of myself. I always say, even to my friends, if people see me on socials a certain way, they're going to see me like that in real life.
Exactly.
Because I think it's also so freeing for me. It's healing my inner child that it's okay to be yourself.
Yeah.
And being myself sometimes means I'm bloated, and me being myself sometimes means I have stretch marks, I have dimples.
Yes.
And who cares?
Exactly.
You know?
I love how you own that, because I know I watched your videos when you were showing with bloating, when you had, when you were speaking through that, and I was like, most fitness influencers don't want to show that. And even now with your shredding, you're showing the before and the after. Most influencers only show the after, or personal trainers, because you guys are the product. So I think you guys are under a lot of scrutiny, and it's so refreshing to have the content that you show that is like the real you, because engaging with you now, I don't feel like I'm being scammed. There's some personal trainers you look at, no offense to all the personal trainers out there, but you look at them on Instagram and then you meet them in person and it looks like a completely different person.
The one thing I have to say about fitness, especially the fitness industry, I cannot talk about the other industry because I don't know much about that, is that there is a body dysmorphia. Huge body dysmorphia. And people see a fit person on the socials and they think, oh, they must be so perfect. There's a lot of body dysmorphia where people are constantly trying to outdo either themselves or other people. They're never 100% happy with how they look. So I guess, sometimes they look like our models, the people we want to be like, but they're also human beings. They also have moments where they don't feel good about their bodies. And sometimes, I won't lie, some of our followers are not very nice. I remember posting the video of myself bloated, and someone's like, what? I thought you were at least 4 months pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
So I can get over that because I'm not bummed by that, But it's also, sometimes it's what people say that people are afraid of. So they're not 100% showing up as themselves. They feel like they have to sell this image to other people.
But how do you not let it get to you when you get those negative comments? Like, how are you able to just dismiss them?
I don't know where that comes from. Maybe it's from a place where, first of all, I think it's having a background in psychology is very important. It has done so much for me, protecting my mental health. I used to care about what people thought about me for such a long time. And that would put me in a place where I was like a people pleaser, morphing myself into whatever I can just to make people happy. But once I learned, also through going to therapy, a few years back, is your focus is to nurture that inner child. What that person said is not important as much as what I have to say to her. So I've learned to say, okay, that's not a nice thing.
That's so crucial to be able to form that with you. And I like how you're saying it always comes back to your inner child. How do you nurture? What's the language or the communication that you're having with your inner self? Because if that is taken care of, it doesn't matter what people say around you. It doesn't really affect that ongoing dialogue with your younger self.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But because we're in the new year, it's 2024, a lot of people are struggling to get back into their fitness routine. So I want to get like the best advice. We've just gone through December, it's January. How do I get back on track? Like, the hardest thing is, like, a person's been eating unhealthily. I haven't been maybe exercising for the past 4 to 5 weeks. How do I get back on track?
All right. So this is only for people getting back, not someone who's starting. Okay. First of all, you had fun in December. You ate the food, you had the drinks. Don't feel bad. One thing I always tell my followers, don't feel bad. You did it, like, it's part of life. As long as you know that you've done that, now you need to focus, right? So don't feel bad. Let's put that aside, right? So now, whether you have a gym membership or not, then you have to create some kind of a plan. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Because we get so excited in January. Yes, it's a new year. I want to start my fitness goals. And we don't have a plan. Have a plan. I always encourage my followers, even with food, have a plan. What am I eating for the next 3 days? Because what happens when you don't have a plan, you just getting through the day, each day, not knowing what you're going to do. You might just go to gym tomorrow. And you might just train legs. You don't know. So that's how you can get taken left, right, because you don't know what to do. And also when you don't plan, even in terms of meals, if work or school gets busy, or life, because life happens. You haven't prepared anything. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the day. What am I going to eat? Oh, let me just get takeaways. Because you didn't plan. All right. If you need any form of help and you feel like, okay, you need to start this journey, but you need either a nutritionist, I'd say it's very important to ask like a professional, someone who's been there, about advice, a personal trainer who can take you through the journey, your fitness journey. And the most important thing, a vision board. I have a vision board every start of the year.
Really? I think I've neglected vision board. Okay, tell me why vision board is so important.
It's important to see yourself there before you get there. I believe that you need to get there mentally before it happens. So an example, when I was a student, I had always wanted to live in Sea Point. You know, when you're new to Cape Town, you want to stay at the nice places because Sea Point is just by the beach. So I'm like, this girl from the townships who's now going to city wants to stay in Sea Point. What? It seems so far-fetched. And then I read this book, The Secret, right, which teaches you about visualization, the power of the mind, law of attraction. I went to Sea Point, and I remember also started doing viewings at some point. I lived in Sea Point. So it's so important to say, this is what I want for myself. So a vision board is a long-term goal. You use pictures, that's why it's a vision board, something that you can see. Either you can cut out a picture of your fitness influencer or fitness person. But what I learned from The Secret is that you have to create or put something there that gives you some kind of a feeling. Someone could be working out because their main reason is to be able to just play with their child. They run out of breath when they're playing with their child because they're so unfit or they've gained so much weight. Maybe put a picture of your child there, something that evokes some kind of emotion. That's a long-term goal, the vision board, right? Then you start cutting it down to 6 months. Then you cut it down to weekly. What am I doing weekly that is going to take me from this place to that vision board picture that I want? So you set realistic goals. I know that sounds discouraging, but people set very unrealistic goals and then they feel so bad when it doesn't happen. Realistic goals. How many times a week can I exercise? For how long? Not everyone needs to exercise for an hour. If you can fit in just 20 minutes to 30 minutes of vigorous exercise, that is good. Meals. How should I start eating in order for me to go from here to the end? So planning, educating yourself, planning, never giving up, believing that you're going to get there.
That's actually I think for me, what you said now, that's something I don't do is the vision board thing. But with planning, I'm going to come back to you. How do I stay on track? I get bored with my food. I think other people that try the thought of going home and eating what I've planned, how do you keep the spontaneity? Because sometimes your body, you're just like, oh, I want to crave something or surprise me. But then you've meal prepped from Sunday to Wednesday, so your meals are cut out. How do you stay disciplined?
So it's different things, right? So I can say like with meal plans, if you are a person that has time to cook every day, you don't need a meal plan. If you are a person that wants to make sure they stay on track and maybe you have a busy life, a meal plan will help. So the tricky part is that a lot of people are like, oh gosh, I'm going to go back to the same meal. Look at it this way. even from when you were a kid, you did a lot of things you didn't want to do. Because at the time, yes, we had our parents behind us and our teachers saying you have to do this because of this.
Yeah.
But as adults now, there's a lot of things we do that are not necessarily pleasant.
Fair enough.
There's a thing in psychology that a child has to know from a young age. It's called delaying gratification. So that part of you needs to be developed in all areas of your life. So let's say you get paid, or actually, let's say you are waiting some kind of like a bonus or payment or whatever, right? But you have things you have to pay for that are important. But you're like, let me chow rent money. I'll see in January.
Yeah.
You haven't developed that part where you have to learn to delay gratification because you know there's something important on the other side that you have to kind of hold yourself back from.
Yeah.
So people can be disciplined. If you can be disciplined at work, doing your work, whatever is needed to be done, you need to teach yourself that you're not a child that needs to be told, eat your veggies. A lot of it comes from you have to tell yourself this is important. And the last point that is important, I always say about food, make food that you like.
Yeah.
People see, I know social media is very, notorious for this. They see these dry chicken breasts and dry broccoli and this. No.
Yeah.
If you go on my page, I make colorful food. I make delicious food.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in eating, just punishing yourself with food. Food is fuel for your body.
Absolutely.
Food is supposed to be nutritious, but it's not supposed to make you suffer. Seasoning is there for a reason, right? Create food that you like. If broccoli is not for you, find out maybe what other vegetable can I substitute with.
Yeah.
If chicken breasts are not for you, maybe let's say chicken breasts are not for you because they of how it's prepared. Maybe find the best recipe for chicken breasts, And I've told people this because a lot of influencers and fitness people post whole week meal prep.
Yeah.
I do no more than 2 or 3 day meal prep.
Yeah.
Because I'm also like, I'm not going to eat the same meal 7 whole days.
Yeah.
So just, even if it's 2 days, meal prep is not new, for example. Our parents, I'm African, our parents can make food enough for today and tomorrow. Even like during the holidays, our parents can make food enough for tomorrow, today, tomorrow, and that day. So it's not new. It's just because now we're talking about healthy food that people are like, can't do meal prep. No. So make sure you do what works for you. If
That's actually some solid advice. I think I'm going to have a new applied approach to how I see meal prepping. And when we come to the actual gym routine, I think I suffer from this a lot. I get bored as well with my gym. I try switch things up. Do you have advice on how to keep things interesting? Like if you are mainly in the gym, and you're doing weight training, how can I switch up my routine and still maximize on whatever my goals are? Let's say my goals is to reduce body fat because I've been eating unhealthily over the holidays and I want to build a little bit more muscle mass, but lean muscle mass. Yeah.
So here's the thing. You are supposed to switch up your training program. You cannot train the same way throughout the year. That's just not going to sustain you. Because the other thing with that is that if you train the same way, at some point you're going to hit a wall. Because your body has gone so used to, they know, she's going to train legs for, 2 hours. There's nothing new. At least most gyms have classes. You get bored with your sessions, your normal sessions. Find a class you think might help. Let's say you want to work on your abs. Some gyms have like an ab class that's just, dedicated to abs. Some gyms just have a class dedicated to stretching. So you can join classes. Also, the other good thing is running is free if gym gets boring. I know some people don't like running, maybe walk. Classes, and also fitness is not only confined to the gym. Go outside. If there's a sport you enjoy, that's why I believe even with food, make it your own. Enjoy it. There's nothing I don't like. If you like dancing, go find a dance class. Dancing is a way of fitness. It's a way to look after your body. Right? You join a dance group. You join a dance class. You dance by yourself in your living room. No one's watching. Like you're Beyonce on a sage. Find what works for you. You get bored. find something else. I never do the same thing a week.
Yeah. That's actually, I think we neglect classes, but also coming to what you've advised. Some people, I know for me, I'm fixated on getting the most calories burned, the highest intensity. How do we move away from that mindset that like going for a walk on the promenade is not an exercise? If I compare it to, okay, when I lift weights for 45 minutes, I know my heart rate's going to go up to here. So then you start to like, I don't know, you see other exercises being lesser than, I don't know if I'm the only one that suffers from that. But
it's, I mean, look, these smartwatches are also to blame for that. And these points that you get because you walk 3,000 steps. So people have become so fixated on that they don't just have fun with their workouts. It's you see someone, I was running yesterday. This lady's, doing the power walk and she's
every 2 seconds.
And I'm like, just go for it. Like, so for me, even when I started running in my first year, when I would go for a run, I wouldn't even check how many kilometers I've ran. Unless you have a specific goal, like you're going to run a marathon. That's important, right? But you need to find ways to move away from that. The numbers and the steps can be encouraging because you're like, okay, I did 10,000 today. Maybe next workout I want to do this many steps and things like that. So if you can, once in a while, ditch that smartwatch because that only comes from that, and also give yourself some grace. For example, when I am on my period, I don't have the same strength as I do as when I'm any time of the month. So I do show my followers that I go to the gym. However, I train light. I'll never train as heavy as I do. And then also sometimes I'll substitute the gym for going for a walk or going for a jog. So it's just also giving yourself some grace to say, okay, today I had an awful day. I can't make it or I can't do as many steps. Let's try again tomorrow. When
you say about grace, actually, I'm reflecting now. I've struggled so much with that. There's times where I've gone to the gym and I'm like, you shouldn't be here. You're tired. You didn't sleep last night. Why are you still here? And it takes so much courage to just be like, I'm turning back. I'm not exercising today. And it comes back to your earlier point where I say these watches are bad because they keep saying you didn't move today. You didn't exercise. So you feel like you're being called out, even though rest is just as important. What's the role of rest when it comes to exercise and fitness and wellness? Why should we also prioritize resting?
Rest in terms of like the physical sense and working out is important because your body gets tired as well. You move it so much that if you don't give it time to rest, it will get sick. There's a book called The Body Keeps Score. So I was listening to this doctor who, I forgot what his specialty was. He said, the people whose bodies age the most are marathon runners, right? Because they put so much pressure on their joints and because their training requires long hours of training, putting their joints under pressure. So when you don't rest, that's what tends to happen. Your body ages way faster than it should. And you are not able to show up in the next workout at your best because you are tired. Your muscles are sore. Resting is also good for your mental health. I think we live in a world, especially because of social media, that's like, go, get the bag, do this, go. Why are you not resting? I prioritize rest days. On Sundays, I even tell my friends, don't invite me to anything because I'm resting. So it is important for you to start the next day or the next few days refreshed. You cannot show up when your cup is empty. You have nothing to contribute to yourself. You have nothing to contribute to other people. So sometimes you need to just like, who am I? What's going on? To center yourself once again. And then start again. So it is important for that reason for me.
And bringing it to like refilling your cup so that you can also give, and just for your mental health, because you're so right, the world is just like go, keep going. And sometimes you just need to take a beat and slow down.
Definitely. I mean, I won't lie, I've also kind of been guilty of that, unintentionally though, of making other people feel like, oh my gosh, you're making us feel so bad. I'm just sitting doing nothing and you're posting this. just because they're seeing a glimpse of my day, a glimpse of my life, they think, oh, she must never rest. She probably doesn't rest. That's why I usually post about Sundays, to say Sundays. I love Sundays. Sundays are for rest, right? And I talk now more about stretching, about reading books and taking care of your mental health. So I noticed that the things I don't post about, people assume I don't do.
Exactly, yeah.
So yes, rest is really important in order for you to have strength to keep going with your life. Yeah.
And we're coming close to the end, but I need to ask, I guess, as somebody who's in the fitness industry in Cape Town, coming from KZN, what's that been like? Especially, particularly, I don't know, I've noticed the fitness industry in Cape Town is particularly more white dominated.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of find out from you, what's your journey been like to take up space and not to change who you are and the essence of who you are to fit into the industry?
Wow. So there was a time where I had someone I know from Joburg. I have a few people I know from Joburg in the industry said, why don't you go to Joburg? It's more black people. and look, I love people. I love my people. I love Joburg. It's comfortable. You get what I'm saying? And I remember saying to them that if I leave here, obviously I don't know what the future holds. I might leave when, if God says it's time to move. But right now that's not the time. But I said at that time, if I leave here, or we all as people of color say, we're not comfortable here, let's leave. Who's going to stay here?
Fair point. That's such a good point.
Who's going to stay here? Who's going to... I feel like God... I believe in God with in my entire heart, my entire life. God places us in different places for a reason. There is people here also need me. And so I felt like I had to be here and show up for people that look like myself. And I felt like I could never let, a group of people or energies to intimidate me, to sort of shrink myself and to, become something I was not. And again, I feel like at every time where I thought about going to Joburg, there was always someone maybe on my Instagram or those events that I host sometimes with the brands I work with. They said, I'm so glad you're here because we don't have anyone here. And so... And then also in terms of like remaining authentic to myself, I don't know how to be anything else besides who I am. And I believe in being authentic because I can't be anything else. And I feel like people are drawn to people that are just not trying to be anything else. And I've always wanted fitness, black people to feel like they can relate to me. I always wanted them to feel like, okay, we are comfortable to go to her, to ask her questions, because I feel like we're the ones that are just catching up in terms of wellness. Because, people of other races, especially white people, have had access to the gym for a long time. Have had access to certain kinds of foods for a long time. So I'm like, no, I want my people to also feel like... it's their space. They also can fill those spaces,
But what happens with other brand or people in the fitness industries that they see that, okay, certain brands like to endorse people who are a certain way, so then they change their personality, the way they dress, the type of content they deliver. So how was it, or how did you manage to not let that sway you? If somebody said, come represent our brand for... I don't know, $1 million or whatever the case might be, but I need you to be a little bit less black. Don't do the dance to house music. Maybe you can do rock music there. How do you not change and not chase money or a bigger platform versus staying authentic to yourself?
I think that has happened once or twice, but it was beauty brands, luckily, because I feel like those weren't really my things, but where you're told to play soft, music, and you speak into the video this way and that way. So when they approach you, they don't really tell you to not be yourself. They're like, we have this, we think you'll be perfect for it. So you're like, obviously, my followers also know I use skincare, so that's not a lie. However, when I come across that and it frustrates me and it makes me feel like I'm not being myself, I always, because I have a business manager, you know, go back to him and we have a conversation like, this is not me. I don't ever want to do this. It's either we cut ties with this brand or he goes back and talks to them and says, if you want to work with this person, this is what you have to do. Because funny enough, the followers that I've had for years, they can tell when it's not me. And the engagement drops.
Sure.
So I don't work with brands that I get the sense want to change me or mold me into something I'm not. It's important to not always make it about money. I know we're all hustling, we're all trying to, but I said money will never be that important that I shape and mold myself into something I am not.
So you're definitely not bought by money.
No.
Yeah.
No. No.
And if I can ask, for people that want to occupy the space that you have and work with big brands, what advice do you have for somebody that's wanting to be in the same space as you and build a big platform?
First of all, I'm happy that you want to be in this space. We need more people. I always say that you can never say there's too many people who are doing the same thing. You also belong. You also have something unique to share. Start with what you have. I remember at a point where I felt so small because I had this cheap phone that had such a bad camera that I was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to ever be like those girls or those people. Start with what you had. God bless me because I started creating from a place of, I really want to do this, but this is what I have. And I also did find a Bible verse that kind of sort of confirmed that it's okay to do from what you have. Start with what you have. Don't go out of your way maybe to borrow or to put yourself in situations that won't serve you. Start with what you have. Do what you love. I think social media, unlike our everyday, life, careers, is different in the sense that you get to be whatever you want. So why choose to be something you're not? Literally, you can be what you want. Be yourself. When you create content and you post it, there's going to be times where you doubt yourself because you're not getting enough likes, you're not getting engagement, you're not getting any brands. Don't delete that post because that's what happens with people. They delete their post, they stop posting. Create from a place of authenticity. And whatever you're posting, know why you're posting it first before you do that so that you won't be hurt every time people don't like your content as much as you thought that they would. They're not receiving you the way that you thought that they would. Show up at events if you have a chance to network with other content creators, brands. Show up at events if you can. To be honest with you guys, I really didn't have to have a plan. I didn't have to think too much. If fitness is your love, create fitness content. Don't worry about being perfect. Be yourself. Someone might be from the townships like I am. I've never seen content from the townships. I've never seen fitness content from the township. I've never seen content about meals from someone who stays in the township who doesn't have enough money to buy salmon or expensive things. Create authentic content. There are a lot of people that even if they don't relate, they will find you so authentic, they have to stay with you because you're not moved by what's happening in the world. So create from what you have, do what you can, and stay true to yourself.
Sure. That's some really good advice. And actually just grabbing onto the last thing that you said, when you speak about different variations of content, I myself last month, I went to my first gym experience in the township. So there's a guy named Sbusiso who owns a gym in Khayelitsha. It's called Ekasi Dynamic Fitness. 50 Rand drop-in fee. And I had like a killer workout. And I was like, it's so beautiful to witness. Like, we need more of these. And like, he's really played with the space, made it nice. I mean, it's a small space for now, but he wants to grow it. And you're saying, why should people have to, go and get gym membership in the town, like in the city center, when they can have it in Khayelitsha? So I think we definitely need that shaping up, especially within Black communities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'll use my little brother as an example. My little brother, he started attending this gym. It's not like your typical gym. They use bricks to lift I'm telling you, they use bricks.
Yeah.
They put cement in these
those,
drums.
Yeah.
And they lift that.
Yeah.
And honestly, that moved me to tears. I remember I was like, I would have never thought about that at his age. But there's a need for that. Everyone needs to move their body, even if it's through play. As kids, we used to play.
Exactly.
But we think as adults, we shouldn't move our bodies. We've always needed to move our bodies. But if you don't have access to the gym, go for a walk, go for a run if it's safe enough for you to do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in your home, play with your kids if you have kids. Listen to music and dance. Walk up and down the stairs. Something. And yeah, there is definitely a gap in the market for authentic content and creating content that appeals or applies to a lot of Black people in the townships and the rural areas.
Absolutely. We're actually, it's so sad. I've got so many questions I want to ask you, but we're out of time. So this is technically my second last question. But tell us a little bit about your relationship with Under Armour. Like, I think it's been beautiful to witness from the runs that you organize, which are really cool. I haven't had the opportunity to attend one yet, but that really looks nice. It looks like you formed a beautiful partnership with them. How did that start?
I love Under Armour. They found me on social media. It started off, in a most casual way. They'd invite me to something that's happening because Under Armour is just 5 years old in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They would invite me to events. There was no exchange at that time, right? And I think for me, I was just happy to get the opportunity. And I would attend events, and the brand started growing because they'd give me clothes sometimes,
Yes.
They would give you a T-shirt.
Yes.
We'll give you tights. We'll give you this. It started very small.
Yeah.
And I would post things, and I'd post workouts. And as the brand started growing, then that's when they wanted to secure me. They're like, she's been with us, and we love her content, and we like where things are going. And what I love about them is that, like the question you asked me earlier, they've never asked me to be something I'm not.
Sure.
They want me to show up as who I am. They are just a brand on top of the brand I already am. And obviously they wanted to have to sort of get the followers that I have to some of these events. And I love that they also give me the freedom to contribute, to say, hey, I don't think this would work for that. For my followers, this doesn't make sense. For people of color or people that look like me, this will not work. And they care about that.
Sure.
And they want to grow communities. And if you look at, even besides myself, some of the other fitness content creators that they don't go by you having the most number of followers. Some brands, it's just like they don't care too much about what kind of stuff you post, what it is about, as long as you have 1 million followers.
Exactly.
And they don't care about that. They have some of the I'm probably the only one, I think, that has the most followers with the brand.
Sure.
But most of the people they have under 10K followers because they are authentic people and they live the lifestyle. And some of them are people that have built fitness communities, whether it's running. I know one of the guys we have is Dumi, running with Dumi, who's created, this hashtag on Twitter about running. So whenever people run, they want to tag Dumi. They also want to appear in that trend. So they care about people that actually do the groundwork and not people that only appear on the socials. Oh, I have abs. Oh, I look good. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about you. There's a bigger goal. There's a bigger vision than yourself.
Sure. That's beautifully put. I know I said I have a last question, but I want to put a sub-question before we end with our closing tradition on the podcast. What I want to know is 2024, what does the year have in store for you? Where can we see you? And also, please, like for people that are looking for you or want to work with you, how do they find you?
Okay. 2024.
Yes.
Such an exciting year. Oh my gosh. Definitely we're going to have events in Cape Town. But what I see for myself, because I've only done events mostly in Cape Town, is to go outside. I really want to make fitness a movement outside of Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban, especially Durban, because that's where I come from, So to have events, not only, fitness sort of events, but like running as well, because running is such a big sport in South Africa. It's the one sport that people don't have to have a lot of money to have access to, right?
Absolutely.
And I also want to form a running group in Cape Town because I used to lead a running group when I was still a student, right? And I'm still working on my plan to one day open a female-only gym.
Please do. I will definitely sign up.
Yes, to open a female-only gym. And also in the works is possibly a YouTube channel. People have been asking me
for the workouts.
Yeah, because sometimes when I drop a story about something, for example, I'll say, you shouldn't drink caffeine if you have anxiety. And people are like, what does that mean? And I'm like, I'm not going to create a whole video on that.
Yeah.
So I do believe that there's a space for YouTube. I just don't know if I have enough time for that. But also sessions. I will post that as well. Sessions, fitness sessions in groups or individuals. A Virgin Active, but I won't give too much away on that as well because I just need to work on work on my calendar as well. But it's definitely a really exciting time for fitness and wellness. And this year we're also focusing a lot more on mental health. My business manager said to me, you have a psychology degree, but you don't use it. And every time I post a fact or something that's to do with psychology in connection with the body, people are always like, what?
We didn't know that.
So that's the focus also this year, that we start focusing on our mental health and the whole wellness. And people can find me on my Instagram. It's Nomvula _Khuzwayo. On Twitter, same thing, Nomvula _Khuzwayo. Same on TikTok. On TikTok, I post a lot more like, dancey stuff. Same at Nomvula _Khuzwayo.
Sure. I am excited for what 2024 has gotten in store for you and for us, for people that are observing your content. I definitely think, like, from our conversation, I can see that God planted you for a specific purpose, and that all these two parallels, the universe from where you were born to what you studied to what your passion is, has come to mold you into this particular space. And so I think Cape Town is very blessed to have you, and I can't wait for your expansion to other provinces. So Nomvula, it is our closing tradition on this podcast to give the guests an opportunity to give 2 or 3 pieces of advice to our audience. Our community obviously consists of people who are navigating their 20s. So if there's any like fundamental or instrumental advice that you could give to somebody who's struggling or navigating their 20s, what would it be?
Be yourself. I know that sounds like I've been sound like a broken record. Be yourself. There's nothing worse than looking back at your life. You're like, I've wasted so much time trying to please people, trying to be a certain way. Because I believe also in being yourself, that's where you find your purpose. That's where you find where you're supposed to be. That's where you even find your tribe when you are yourself, because you won't know who your people are until you show up as yourself. My other piece of advice is take care of your health while you're still young. We're not going to be young forever. I know a lot of young people in their 20s, because I was like that at some point. You can eat a meal, whatever meal, day before, wake up the next day, the stomach is flat. The older you get, a lot of us, now older ladies, after 25, you have to start working a little harder. So take care of your health, not only because of what you look like physically, but also things like sitting down a lot, doing, crazy activities that affect your joints or muscles in some kind of way. The body keeps score. Later on, it will catch up to you. And by taking care of your health, I also mean your mental health. Take breaks if you need to, rest if you need to, consume things that nourish you, consume things that make you feel good about yourself. And the other thing is, still in the topic of mental health, is work on your traumas and everything that's to do with who you are and what you could become. Work on your traumas, work on whatever it is that needs you to grow, because that will affect you in your relationships and later on in life and how you navigate life. And lastly, love yourself. Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. Don't waste your time worried about what other people will think. Don't waste your time worried about if I do this, how will other people react. Just love yourself, be true to yourself, show up as yourself for your inner child.
So this has been Navigating the 20s. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember that you can catch us on various social media platforms such as Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you enjoyed this conversation, won't you share it with a friend or maybe even a colleague? Remember that your feedback matters to us, so be sure to subscribe to our platform or your podcasting platform and leave us with a review. This has been Navigating the 20s. We'll see you at the next episode.